saving us, God, for keeping us, God, for allowing us to enjoy life in these bodies of flesh, and Lord, just providing for all our needs. God, we realize that you are the one and only true God. Lord, there's none like you, neither is there any God beside you. Lord, our great and mighty Creator. Father, we're just thankful, God, that you're mindful of us.
Yes, sir.
God, you didn't leave us to ourselves. God, you hadn't turned us over, God, to our own uncleanness. Lord, but yet you saved us. God, from the damnation of
yes, sir.
Lord, now we ask you, Lord, to meet with us in a special way.
Yes, sir, brother.
God, please help us, Lord, to be empty to self. God, filled with thy Holy Spirit. God, we ask you to deal with us personally, God, this morning. God, where we are, Lord, you know the need of each and every one, and God, our hearts.
Yes, sir.
God, we pray if there's anything,
yes, sir.
God, hindering thy Holy Spirit. God, you touch those things today. Lord, give us an opportunity to repent. God, to judge ourselves by thy word. God, to come clean with you. Lord, we might, God, walk with you, God, more closely. Amen. Lord, we sure do love you. God, thank you for the freedoms, God, we enjoy in our country. To do this thing right here this morning.
Yes, Lord.
God, we ask you to have your will in this place. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen.
We'll have an altar call now after that prayer.
Amen.
Amen.
Let's sing one more.
Let's do the victory in Jesus.
Amen.
Come up and keep it.
See where we were today.
Praise it on this. I just bring it on. 143. Sir, 243. 243 the big book. 243.
just come through a valley, and now the sun is on my face. I made it through the darkest nights by His amazing grace. Now I'm standing where I was meant to be, and from the path that brought me here, it's clear to see He didn't leave me in the valley, and He's standing with me still. Through the valley, low mountain top, He walks with me no matter what. When no one else can hear me, He listens for my cry. I'm singing out of Him. I know He's always listening. From the mountain, it's clear to see He didn't leave me in the valley. I don't know why I'm surprised. It's not the first time I've made it to the mountaintop by strength that isn't mine. I'm persuaded now as I'm looking down from here. He never runs, He never leaves, He's always right here. He's with me in the valleys, and He's standing with me still. Through the valley, lower mountaintop, He walks with me no matter what. When no one else can hear me, He listens for my cry. If I'm singing out or weeping, I know He's always listening. From the mountain, it's clear to see He didn't leave me in the valley. And from the mountain, it's clear to see He didn't leave me in the valley.
Praise the Lord, brother. Amen. Thank God. That's good, brother. Amen.
Well, truth be known, we've probably all been in the Bible. Thank God He did leave us.
Amen.
Thank the Lord.
Looks like it.
Brother.
I'm going to sing one that I don't sing, so I'm not messing that up. I don't even know what key. Out on the water, the storms raging high, waters around Him, they were troubled that night. Fear in their hearts, they thought they'd die. They failed to remember that the Master was alive, and then He spoke the word, and the waves all stood still, and even the waters will obey His will. If He can calm their storm, and I know that He will mine, if I'll just remember He lives deep inside. So why should I worry? Why should I fear? When the very same Jesus is always so near. He lives in my heart, and He hears when I cry. So I'll call on His name till the storm passes by. We read in the Bible how He walked with them, brought light to their darkness when the waves grew dim, and how great it would be to have His footsteps in mine, and to walk with the
Let the Lord speak to our hearts.
Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
I was talking to Brother Freddie last night about how the flesh gets in things when you're trying to decide spiritual things, like what to preach. And then sometimes you start trying to look at it, logically and through your own experience. And so like this morning, I felt like I got set on the message. You get here, you kind of look at, oh man, we got these young people here, different things. And you start trying to figure out, well, maybe I picked the wrong one or whatever. But I just feel like the Lord knows what He's doing. And I think the best I know this morning, this is the message that He settled me on, or the lesson. And so I'm going to go with that. And I'm supposed to go all the way up till lunchtime. So, just wrap it on. I got an hour and a half here. I'm just kidding. I don't plan to do that. But Ephesians chapter 4. But I will be allowed then just to take my time and throw some different things in there that maybe are not necessarily. I don't like when people text me right in the middle of me trying to teach something because Sebastian says, "What was that?" And so I'll have to check that out later. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11. Ephesians 4:11. Look at it now. I want you to notice even very quickly a word here. The Bible said, verse 11, if you're looking at it, say amen. Amen. All right, and it says, and He, what's that third word? Gave. Everybody say it, and He gave. All right, I need you to get a hold of that word here in just a minute. He gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, or the equipping, or the, completing of the saints for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come in the unity of the faith and knowledge of the Son of God, into a perfect man, and the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro, carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. But, speaking the truth in love, may grow up into Him in all things, which is the head, even Christ. And so I want you to notice there that it's talking about the local church here, and it's talking about how that God gave some things to a local church, and He gave it for the reading, teaching, completing the saints, perfecting the saints, and then it goes on, and you see that it talks about maturity, that we be no more, be henceforth no more children, tossed to and fro, carried about every wind of doctrine. So it's saying that God gave a church and gave a person and gave a family certain gifts, if you will, certain things, certain positions. And the positions have the purpose of helping us to grow in the Lord. They have the purpose of helping us to mature to the place that we're no longer children. We're not so easily tossed about by every wind of doctrine. And that we might speak the truth in love. So you gotta learn the truth before you can deliver the truth. And so you understand that God is talking about in verse 16, but whom the whole body fitly joined together. And so another picture of the local church that has many parts that God brings together. He fitly frames together this group of people, and we can even back it down out of just the church, and even back it down to like in a home. A home is supposed to have specific parts that God puts in there, and when it all is in its place, doing it just the way the Lord said is when it works best. And we understand that God can bless a single mom whose husband was deadbeat and ran off, left her, or whatever. God can bless her. And my dad was a drunk for many years, and Mama carried the load. And I thank the Lord that He blessed her and He guided her. What she probably had to do things spiritually, probably had to be a leader. No problem about it. My mama had to be a spiritual leader in ways she shouldn't have had to, had Daddy been doing his part, but he wasn't. So I understand that God can bless it when it's not all just right. But you need to understand that His plan is that each family has these certain parts. And not only each family, but each individual. God has provided in the lives of individuals pieces and people. That scripture over, I guess it's Ezekiel, where it says, He sought for a man to make up a hedge and stand in the gap. You can look at that, and now that one was about the nation. He might save the land instead. But you can look at that in another way, that every person, that God has in His Word a design, that every life has a hedge of people and positions. People and positions that God has ordained that should be around every life. And that as they are in their place, it becomes a protective hedge to help that child grow up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Obviously, a mom and a dad. That's a position that God ordained, that God intends for every child to have. Then there's some other things God intends for each child to grow up and get in a church. And if he's in a church, then he's got a pastor. Right? And then he's got some teachers. And then he's got other people that God puts in his life. I would throw in even like grandparents, things like that. And see what happens in life sometimes you've got a gap in your head. There's a child whose dad is not what he ought to be. There's a hole there. And so at that time, God can bring other people in our life. For example, a bus worker can come by and knock on that door, and that boy can start riding the bus and don't have a daddy. And that bus worker, that male bus captain, if there is one there, he can all of a sudden slide into that gap a little bit and make up that hedge for that particular child. So maybe the devil don't get to get in that open space where there's no dad because this other man steps in. Does everybody understand that? And so when you're reading this text here, you kind of get that same idea that God has placed people in positions for the purpose of helping others. And the word that has my attention is that He gave. He gave. He gave. That means this. That means that these positions are a gift to us. Or I'll just use myself as the pastor of New Manor Baptist Church. That means if He gave some, apostles and prophets and evangelists and pastors and teachers, pastors right there, that means that I am supposed to be a gift to New Manor Baptist Church. The families of New Manor Baptist Church are supposed to perceive me. I don't say this arrogantly, I hope you understand this morning, but according to this text right here, they are supposed to look at their life and think this: boy, it was a blessing that God gave us that pastor. Does everybody see that? And in that sense, I am supposed to be like a gift to them. Something that, boy, they're thankful to have received in their life. Some teachers. It says teachers. So, a Sunday school teacher. Now, I've had some Sunday school teachers that, to be honest with you, we've had them teaching at our church that were not a gift. They were just doing it because somebody asked them and they didn't have to care about it. And they didn't like children, and somebody asked them to fill in 20 years ago and never came back and checked on them, and they've been there 20 years, hating kids their whole life. I'm going to tell you something. Those kids don't leave that class saying, oh, what a gift from God. Oh, brother so-and-so is. I even believe that education teachers, I believe even in a public school, that a teacher should be considered, as each family should think, well, what a gift Miss So-and-so is to our life. I remember we've got a third grade teacher, and to be honest with you, she's old school. She's taught literally 40-something years of Christian education, educated, got all the experience, everything, and she's just a little bit cantankerous. Y'all know what that is? She's a little bit edgy, a little bit hateful, a little old scrawny thing. And man, our daughter, when she was coming along, getting ready to go into third grade, Carson had in classes where there was a whole lot of seek work. If you know how this works, they just come in the morning, and there's several pieces of just busy work written on the board. Kids got to get right to work on that. That kind of, keeps them busy for a little while the teacher gets the day ready, and then sometimes they'll get up and start teaching through certain subjects. Well, Miss Gilstrap didn't go to that school. She didn't go to that school. You got to give them busy work. She went to the old school of, I get up and I teach them every particular lesson, then I give them assignments, and we work on it together. We go through it. But listen, that helped my daughter astronomically. My daughter's a little bit like her daddy, and that busy work, we're just sitting there. I read some of the guys in text last night. Let me read that to y'all because that was hilarious. This will tell you what a gift I am to my church right here. Let's see if I can find who was. Oh, it's right there. She said, I saw this on Facebook today. I thought I'd it's got, if you know what the minions are, it's got the purple minion from off the Despicable Me. It says it's going to be one of those days. The voices in my head are fighting. My imaginary friend is running with scissors, and at one point, one of my personalities wandered off. She said, I thought of you when I read it. So she's thanking God for the crazy gift. And so, I'm going to tell you what happened to us. Miss Gilstrap's structure and how she does her class, it completely fixed our daughter as far as school goes. It was tremendous. And you know what? Our daughter fell in love with it. She didn't care that she was strict. She didn't care that she was a little hateful sometimes. You know what it was? She helped me. She fixed me. And we praise the Lord. You know what we do? We praise the Lord for Miss Gilstrap in our life. We look at it and we say that lady being in our Christian school is a gift to the families of this school. And so we need to understand that God intends for us to be a gift to the people whose lives He puts us in. And I look back in my life and I think about the people who made a difference to get me to where I am. And you know what? That's the way I look at them. My first pastor, I think about what a blessing he is in my life. He's dead and gone now. I think about that little church, Allendale, and how God used him to bring revival, how he impacted my family. And all the years that my dad was out of church, this pastor had already moved back to Tennessee. My dad never got over the friendship with that guy. I remember one time he just called my daddy and said, Elbert, he said, we're having a friend day at our church in Tennessee. Daddy didn't even go to church, you understand? He was a drunk still, he wasn't going to church. But this preacher called and said, we're having a friend day, and Elbert, you're my friend. Would you come to church? And Daddy comes in the house and says, we're all going to church in Tennessee on Sunday. Our daddy that don't go to church, our daddy that's a drunk, he said, we're all going to church at Bobby's church in Tennessee, y'all be ready, we're going. You said, what y'all do? We was excited, thrilled. I remember being in that service just weeping, and Daddy was even there. You know what it was? It was the influence of that man. That man was not a perfect man. He didn't do everything. Man, he was tough too. And since we got time this morning, I'll tell you all kind of crazy stories. And a little bitty old country church only had one aisle instead of two like this. And I remember one day after the service, all of us kids, there's a bunch of us little kids in those days, and we were wild, man. We just running around wild. I guess after church, bumping into people and all sorts of stuff. And I guess a few of them must have bumped into him or interrupted him talking to somebody, and he decided to call for a meeting of all them kids. He started hollering. He got every one of us up on the altar. And in my mind, he was like this 7-foot tall man. Now, as I got older, I realized he wasn't that big, but he just, with the power of God on him and the way he would preach, and me being little and him being tall, he just seemed like a giant of a man. So I scared to death. I was sitting on the altar. We was all sitting on the altar like this, and he was coming to have this little speech with us about how to behave in the house of God. Right about the time he got, our first pew was a good distance further back from the altar. You understand what I'm saying, Brother Eddie? I mean, it's probably the second pew, maybe the third one. Right about the time he got to that pew, the opening, one of the boys thought, I'm making a break for it. He thought, I'm scared too, and he started making a break. And old Brother Bobby just caught him. He just reached out and caught him like this. The way I picture in my mind is he didn't even look. He just goes boom and threw him back to the pew. He just goes shoot right there inside. We were like, oh, and Brother, he straightened us out. So one night, it wasn't Joel Osteen. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I remember him preaching at another local church, and we all went down there to support him. And my oldest brother Tim, that preached last night, some of his teenage buddies was cutting up in the service. At another person's church, Brother Bobby like, Tim, you boys be quiet back there.
Yeah.
I didn't even Tim, but I stood up like I'm all y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I tell you all that to say, it wasn't just, all lovey-dovey, but he was the man of God that God used to get our family in. And he stayed faithful all the years that I knew him. I went and worked with him one summer when I was college age. I moved and I would live in Tennessee all the week and work. He had a little landscaping business and live in his house. And I remember hearing him, bless the Lord, making a radio broadcast in the basement. And he'd preach down there at that little radio like it was 10,000.
Yeah.
I mean, just shoved in the corn in the basement. I'd come down, he's all by himself. I thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember the last time that I ever spoke to him, he had cancer. He threw from his backbone into his sternum. And my brother Terry and I was already in North Carolina. I'd come into business. I said, Terry, let's go see Brother Bobby. So we went, took our wives, and we visited. His wife's name was Mary. We called her Sister Mary. And so we're sitting there with Sister Mary. Brother Bobby was in the bedroom in a hospital bed and had morphine patches on him. He was in bad shape. And we talked to her a long time, and we were getting ready to leave, and she said, well, would you like to, I said, could we pray with you? She said, oh, yeah, I think that'd be good. So she comes in there, and she gets down beside him, and she says, Bobby, she said, Tony and Terry and Tony are here. They want to pray with you. So Terry was the older one, he was going to pray. And he leaned over beside him, and Brother Bobby, this is the last thing he ever said to us. He told my brother Terry he was getting ready to pray. He said, shut her down, boy. Woo. Now, if you don't know what that means, that means don't mess around, really pray. Shut her down, boy. That's a pretty good last thing for your old preacher to say to me. So what I'm telling you is, when I look back in my life, what I say is, what a good day it was for the Shirley family when Bobby Shelton came into our life. He is a gift from God. My wife, when I look at my life, I think what a gift from God my wife has been. I even think about Brother Danny. He hired me into the ministry. I wasn't even called to preach, but he said, I'm going to start a Christian school. What do you think? Would you be interested? I never even knew of Christian education. I didn't know a full-time Christian service. I didn't know any of that stuff. But God used Brother Danny Castle in my life, a gift from God. It was a good day. It changed the course of my life when he came into it. And I know he's made some mistakes since then. That doesn't change the impact that he had and the gift that he was. Now that will possibly get into something I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But you understand that at your funeral, there should be people that come around that say something like that. They should say, it was a blessed day in our life when Eddie White became a part of our family,
Amen.
part of our life.
Amen.
Brother Eddie's, my extended family, which are crazy as woo! That's all I can tell you. Crazy. But you know what? When it's all said and done, what I hope they'll say is, it was a blessing from God, Tony, when you came into our family.
Yeah.
Now see, I know my family will say that about Becky, because they know how she takes care of me and how she raises our children. And I guarantee my mama would say that was an answer to my prayer.
Yeah.
Becca is an answer to the prayers I pray about Tony's spouse. See, our families ought to say that. The people we serve ought to say that. And you young ones, you say, well, I don't have anybody. No, one of these days you'll teach Sunday school, or you'll be a bus captain, or you'll you'll preach at a nursery, whatever you might do. There's going to be somebody to whom you should be a gift from God. And so what I have noticed through the years is that often when we get in these positions, particularly positions like pastor or teacher or something like that, not necessarily parent, but these other positions, what I found out is often early on, it is like that. Sometimes we call it the honeymoon period. I mean, early on, people are so excited that you are the preacher. People are so excited that you are their teacher to start this school year. People are so excited that you came by their house and picked up their kids. And we often seem like a gift at first, but it seems like sometimes when we've been in a position for a while, it sometimes wears off. And so the lesson this morning will be how to remain a gift.
Yeah.
Not just you seem like a gift at first, but now, I don't know.
Yep.
How to remain a gift. Number one. And you got blanks there, I guess. I don't guess I missed any yet, because I'll do that in the paper. Let me get it out here and see if I can watch it. First of all, stay, and this will sound funny when I say it, but stay human. You say, what do you mean stay human? Well, I'll explain it to you. You just write it down. Stay human. What I mean by this is that as God uses you to be a blessing and a gift to people in their life, they will more and more begin to tell you that you are that. David comes into the kingdom as a young man. Nobody knows who he is. God begins to use him. God begins to magnify him. God begins to bless others through his life. And the next thing you know, they're running around singing, Saul is slain his thousands, and David is 10,000. And nothing wrong with that. But I'm telling you, when God uses you to be a blessing, a natural reaction to that will be that people will begin to say, thank the Lord for you. I just got a text yesterday or maybe even today, and somebody said, we appreciate all that you do. Now what they're saying there is, preacher, you're a blessing. Thank you for being a blessing. Thank you for, they didn't use the word gift, but they feel like God put me in their life. Now it's good for them to do that, and it can be an encouragement, but what you have to understand is, we must always remember what we really are.
Amen. Yeah.
When I say stay human, you must never forget that that's what you are.
Right.
You say, what do you mean? Well, one guy said like this, he said, compliments are like perfume. A little won't hurt you as long as you don't swallow.
That's good. Real good.
In other words, it's good for people to compliment you, but you got to be careful that you don't start believing it all.
That's right.
What you better understand, and you got to get real good at saying, praise the Lord. All glory. I take sometimes people say something like, well, that was a good message or whatever. I try to get in the habit. I always say, praise the Lord. I started getting in the habit of saying, all glory to God. All glory to God. You know why? I don't want none. I listened to a very serious message on the way here driving yesterday by Brother Sam Davison about a lot of the preachers that have fallen and all this other stuff. You know what he ended up getting it down to? He ended up getting it down to we start taking some of the glory.
Right. Yeah.
God will not share the glory.
Amen.
And so we've got to be careful that we understand that people are supposed to encourage one another. And when they encourage you, let it encourage you, but don't let it make you forget what you really are. You say, what do you mean what I really am? I mean, your heart is desperately wicked. That's what you really are. That's what I really am. It don't matter how long I've served as pastor. It doesn't matter how much a blessing I have been. My heart is still desperately wicked. Anything good that has ever come out of me is the Holy Spirit working through me, and it's in spite of me. Some people think, and I do joke a lot about being a country boy and all this other stuff. It's true, but some people think it's all just a fake. But it's not all just a fake show. What it is it's continually reminding myself that I am nothing.
Yeah.
And so I often say, I'll say, how are things going at the church? And I'll say, man, they're going great. And I often not add, in spite of leadership. And they'll kind of agree. So why I say it like that? Because I know it's that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It's not going great because I'm a leader. It's going great in spite of the fact that I'm a leader. I don't ever want to forget that my heart is desperately wicked. That Psalm as soon as he said that, I went to some of my science classes. We know we're made of dust, but we're like, what, 70% water or something like that our body's made of? Dust and water makes mud. I thought, there you go, Rob. Yeah. He said, you're just mud, kind of slightly packed together. And if you take the Lord out of it, you fall apart. And just hold it right now. And let me tell you something, we got some preachers in here. The day you preach the best message you've ever preached, your heart is desperately wicked and you're still dust. We got to stay human. Isaiah said, all flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof is as a flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth. I mean, the very best I am, I'm just fading away. I've got to never forget. And so we've got enough. I've got in my notes here, we've got enough Christian celebrities in the movement today. We need to stay human. Let me point out a couple things about staying human. First of all, I think letter A there, we must remain touchable. You can see the scripture. I'm going to turn to Matthew 19. We must remain touchable. No matter how God magnifies you, don't ever get to the place that you're untouchable. That they can't get to you. And I'm going to go ahead and just say some things this morning. We're among family here. And I'm, great men are not always wise, is what the Bible says.
Amen.
All right? So that doesn't, I'm not tearing down the greatness of these people when I use them as an example. But I think back when I was looking over these notes this morning, Brother, I think back to how Brother Hiles kind of got at the end. Where, they've got security around him every second, and I understand a certain measure of that. We have a security team, and I don't tell them how to do it, but we just saw this past week. Sunday morning I was preaching on understanding the times, and I talked about it being perilous times, and I just used the word dangerous a little bit. And I read through some things very quickly, and I said, you know that it's dangerous times when a Baptist church, and this was Sunday morning, all right, Sunday morning. And I was talking about our church. I said, that when you're in a Baptist church in the heart of the Bible Belt, and you have to have a security team, that you're living in perilous times. And at probably the very time I'm saying that church, that Baptist church, and I know it's not considered the Bible Belt, but Texas is very conservative, Texas is very Christian, if you will, it's a Bible-based place, right in the middle of all that, and in Baptist church, he's shooting them up. It's all, the people started texting me like, crazy, almost like prophetic. And I thought, well, it ain't prophetic, it's just the day in which we live. And so we understand, I've got security, and I didn't tell them how to do this, but now what they do is, one of them, when the service ends, I always come and sit on my steps because I don't have just one exit that I can go and greet everybody. So I just come and sit on these steps. Anybody wants to can come by and see me. And now I've noticed the last year or two, one security always comes and just sits on that front pew, or they just stand right over here. And the first few times I'm like, are you waiting? You need to sit it up? No, I'm good. And then I realized that Brother Ball had said, because we did have a crazy lady for a few years, was really causing a ruckus and off, and she would come up, and one time she's standing there screaming, she's screaming crazy stuff about me and about my wife, and right there. And I know what they started deciding was, if he's going to sit right there, and just anybody that wants to can come up there, we're going to stand right beside him. And so they stand right there. And you understand that they're doing that because they feel like they need to, but I want to be touchable, and so I understand security. But there got to the place that Brother Howell's life was like this, that he just sort of appeared in the pulpit and then disappeared. And they said the first Sunday that Brother Wilkerson was there, who's the new pastor, who's the epitome of touchable, that he finished the service. And right when he was going to finish the service, he was about to wade off into that congregation, that sea of people, and the security team come all around. And he said to them, guys, that ain't going to be necessary. Y'all need to get back. And he just waded out in the middle of the people. And I started seeing pictures of him saying, riding the church bus home on Sunday night. Whole bus load of black kids behind him. He's sitting right in the middle of it. You said, what is that? He's trying to remain touchable. Matthew chapter 19, verse 13. The Bible says right here, then were there brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them and pray. The disciples rebuked them, and Jesus said, suffer little children and forbid them not to come to me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. What I want you to see right here is this is not the only time we see that children wanted to come to Jesus. That means children were comfortable around Jesus.
Amen.
Now, when children are comfortable around you, then you're touchable.
Amen.
But when you've carried yourself in such a way that the kids walk right up here, that Brother Bobby I was telling y'all about, and he scared us that day that he had that little meeting. But the rest of the time, we just running up to Brother Bobby. That's why he had to have that meeting. He's trying to talk to people. He's probably trying to counsel, and all the kids are climbing up him and grabbing on him. And, hey, brother, no! Hey, brother, no! Hey, brother, no! And he had to explain to us, that there are times you've got to be, respectful of the adults talking and all that. Nothing wrong with it, but my point is, I was never like, I did look at him like, a man of God, and there was a reverence there, but it wasn't a fear like, oh, here's Brother Bobby, let's run away. But I've seen some guys and how they preach and the spirit with which they preach and the mystique that they have tried to build of themselves. It creates a situation where there ain't one kid in the church that's going to dare walk up and speak to them.
Right. Yeah.
I'll tell you something, sir. If you got more mystique than Jesus, you've got too much.
Amen.
If you got more reverence than Jesus, you've built too much.
Amen.
I want the children to feel comfortable. And listen, it gets a little crazy sometimes, and I've had them climbing on my back while I'm sitting on that pew, sitting on that step, trying to talk serious to somebody. I remember Brother Curtis's daughter, and Aniston, she's a little maniac, and I love her. She started coming up early, and I want them coming up early. One little boy started coming when he was just barely walking, and he would come up, and we started this little thing, and we'd shake hands, and we'd hug like that, and then we'd fist bump. And I'd say, I love you, buddy. His name's Trepid. And every service he was there from when he could just barely walk. He'd come at the end of the service. His mama would, if there was a line, his mama would stand and wait because he was waiting in line. You know what he's going to do? Shake hands, hug, fist bump. Shake hands, hug, fist bump. Now he's got a little older. I jumped on him recently. I said, Trepid, you don't never come anymore. What's the matter? Come here. And I shook his hand, and I hugged him, and I fist bumped him. And he's outgrown it a little bit. He's probably 12, maybe almost 13 or something. But see, it's not because he's afraid. Right. He knows anytime he wants to, he can walk to that step, hug that preacher, fist bump him, shake his hand. Aniston was up there, and she'd come around behind him. And one day I was talking to somebody pretty serious, and Aniston, Curtis's daughter, really wanted to talk to me. And she was literally behind me, and finally she just got tired of waiting. She just leaped on the back. Yeah. And so I'm counseling with these people. I mean, it's pretty serious. And all of a sudden, I got the kid right here. I said, look, it's going to be all right with your family. Everything's going to be all right. So I don't think you ought to do it like that. Well, her daddy about had a heart attack when he saw it. Don't you worry about it. Which it would be a great deal. And then they dealt with her about that. I'll tell you what, it wasn't that she, I can't go up there or God will strike me dead. Right. We got to remain in touch. Well, I remember spending some time with the preacher's children. I'd stayed in their house and listen, they had this family had grown up around, the greats of the greats, and I had even joked with them about their dad worked at a Bible college, and there was a time that the president of the Bible college gave them a ride home, and they sat in the back, and they said they sat in the back scared to death, and he said, tell me three things. Tell me your three favorite chapel messages you've heard all year. And they're all back there going. I don't even know if I remember one chapel message, but they got to say, I said, what did it? One girl said, I just started saying stuff, She's probably making stuff up. And the other ones, I guarantee you what the other said, yeah, those are my favorite three. So I stayed at their house, and I was the first time there. I'm coming down the next morning, we're having breakfast, and most of y'all in here know me pretty well. I'm just, as soon as I sit down, we just start talking, and we're cutting up, and I'm talking trash to them, and what's this, and who are you, and you like sports, and before long we're just laughing and cutting up around the table, and the little one made a statement, and she said something like this. She said, I like you, Brother Tony, you ain't like a real preacher. Yeah. Now that became a running joke with that family of me. All right, you ain't like a real preacher, but see, I knew what she meant. She didn't mean that she didn't like how I preached, or that I was a wicked or anything like that. What she meant was, you don't scare me. I'm comfortable. You're funny. You're nice. When you think those are things it's okay for a preacher, by the way, when you think it's okay for a teacher to have that said, a Sunday school teacher to have that said, or a bus captain to have that said, or whatever position, that the kindness and the niceness and the comfortableness. And listen, I know dads that in their own home, everybody walks around like that. That, Daddy's almost home, Daddy's almost hurt. Get that up for if he sees that. If he sees that, it's going to be a bad night for all of us. Get that, straighten that, do that, do that. And when Daddy comes in, they're like a bunch of little robots, and the whole rest of the evening they're walking on eggshells to make sure that nobody don't, rub Daddy wrong. That's not touchable. Amen. I'm going to tell you this, that's not a gift.
Amen.
That's not children going to bed thinking, boy, I'm so glad Ronald Reagan probably in our lifetime, my lifetime, served the greatest president. Sure. My opinion anyway. Yeah. And they said one time he was making a speech, and that they had
and had brought a group of blind children from a blind school to hear him speak. It was somewhere close to where their school was in Garden. Reagan found out that they were there, and he said, he said, I want to meet these kids afterward. He said, but I don't want any media or anything. He said, I want everybody to know. He said, you get them in this trailer back here, and you don't tell nobody, and then I'll come in and I'll meet them. So the president comes in, those blind children, he begins to talk to them. And I don't remember exactly how it was asked, but eventually he said something like, do you all want to see me? Would you like to see me? You know how they see. So the president, the most powerful man in the world, if there's untouchable, you can't touch that guy without asking. He got down on his knees, and one by one he let them little blind kids come and rub his face. Put their hands all over his face so they can see the president. And you know what that is? I wonder if they're still alive today, what they think of President Reagan. Yeah. What do you think those kids think about President Reagan that are now adults?
Yeah.
You reckon they've ever told their children now and their grandchildren now, when they hear stories about the current presidents and and how they are? I guarantee they begin to tell about the gift that was Ronald Reagan.
Amen.
He remained touchable. Remain teachable. Remain teachable. That's the second part of staying human. When you begin to believe that you're everything great people say about you, you'll start thinking you figured it all out. Paul said in Philippians 3:12, not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after. Paul was saying, I'm still learning. I realize I've not figured everything out. I'm still following after. I'm still learning. If we ever get to the place that we stop striving to learn and get better, of course you're here this morning because you want to learn and get better. But here's the thing, we'll cease to be a gift to our people. But I need to make this statement. We don't need to just be teachable. We need to be teachable by them. By them that are under us.
Yeah.
See, it's easy to say, oh, I'm teachable. I'll go sit under Brother Fisher and let him teach me. I'll go sit under somebody that I think's way up there and let them teach me. But what we need to understand is the people that we serve, the people that get to be, the people who I have authority over, they can teach me.
Amen.
They have things to say. And they have ideas that sometimes are better than yours. Hey, Dad, if you don't ever listen to your wife and your children, then you're missing out on probably some great ideas from time to time that can help your family.
Amen.
Ma'am, same thing with you and your children. Same thing with you in that Sunday school class. Sometimes, whoever it is that's under, sometimes they can have an idea. They may not even know that they're giving you an idea. It may be coming from God.
Yeah.
I do remember a man named Balaam riding on his donkey, and God spoke through the donkey and gave him a pretty good idea.
Sure, yeah.
If you keep going, you're going to die.
Yeah.
God saved his life. And so sometimes God can speak through them when maybe they don't even know what they're saying. But if you're not teachable, and certainly you can't ever listen to people under you, then you have become, you have lost your opportunity to be a gift if you're not careful. There are things they can say that helps. I remember Miss Stiles, my secretary, has been for years, like a mom to me. One of the great servants we got in our church, and she made a simple statement in 2010. 2009, at the end of 2009, that caused us to completely change our church calendar for 2010 and led to probably the greatest 5 weeks of revival period we've ever had since I've been a pastor. She just made a statement. It wasn't an accusation. We were having a Ralph Sexton Jr. crusade in our town, and it went on for over 2.5 weeks, and man, it was a help to our church. I went almost every night. Everybody was going. I got tremendous help. People getting help. We were talking about it in the office one day, and she just made this observation. She says, Brother Tony, I've been trying to figure out why you think this thing's helping us so much, And she said, I believe one of the reasons that it's helping our church so much, she says that we're not doing anything in it. We're just going in and sitting down and getting preached to.
Yeah.
Now remember, she's one of the best servants. She's not complaining. She don't mind the word. But she was saying, she said, like at camp meeting, we're having to fix all the meals and having to do all that. And that youth rally, we're out serving and doing all this other stuff. She said, but it seems like it is because we're just coming in and sitting down and saying, speak to me, Lord. Man, I started thinking about that. And that next year we were supposed to have a mission conference in January, and me and Brother Ken trying to get it figured out. It seemed like we couldn't get nothing lined out. And I finally thought the Holy Spirit was saying, why don't you just change things up? And so instead of mission conference where we do take care of the missionaries and feed them in our homes and have a big dinner for them and all that, the Lord said, you just do some mission Sundays throughout the year, and this year just have revival. Just revival. I didn't advertise it. I didn't invite other churches in the country. I just said we're going to have revival. I brought in a preacher for Sunday night, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm telling you, God breathed on it. And for the next 4 or 5 weeks, we had about 50 people saved. And it was not just like, and I'm not against it, but it wasn't like 10 kids in the bus ministry. It was people bringing their cousin who they got hurt for. People bringing their neighbor. It was just unbelievable. You said, what was it? It was that lady making a statement, I believe now, inspired by the Lord. But me, by the grace of God, not saying, you ain't the pastor of this church. God didn't call a woman to lead this church. Right? Or I could have took it defensively like, oh, I say, are we working you too hard? Am I asking you to do too much for God? Come on, don't act like we don't have that. We're not careful. We cannot receive anything that seems to even disagree with a decision or a plan that we have. When you get to that place, you are not a gift anymore to the people that you're supposed to be a gift to. We've got to stay human. Remember, Nabal, 1 Samuel 25 said a man cannot speak to him. He was not a gift to his family. He was not a gift to his servants. Let's look at the second one, Roman number 2. We'll go quickly now and then on these others. It says in your outline there, stay humble. Matthew chapter 20, the next page. Chapter 20, verse 25. And Jesus called them unto him and said, you know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you, but whosoever be great among you, let him be your minister. Whosoever be chief among you, let him be your servant. So we must, if we're going to remain a gift, we've got to stay human, we've got to stay humble. Letter A, you've got to stay humble in your attitude. We talk a lot about being a servant in our circles, you know. You'll hear teaching a lot, you'll hear preaching a lot about being a servant, but I heard a few years ago a quote that really gets to the heart of whether or not we really are servants. And it says this, maybe you've heard it. It says the test of whether or not you are truly a servant is how you react when somebody treats you like one. The test of whether or not you really are a servant is how you react when somebody treats you like one. See, Brother Levi, when you were just Brother Eddie's boy here, it wouldn't be no big deal if somebody come and said, Levi, there's a mess in the bathroom. Would you grab a mop and go clean it up? You might not have liked it as a boy, don't want to go mop. But I'm saying you wouldn't have thought, I can't believe they said that to me. You wouldn't have thought that. Or anything. Hey, there's trash out there and you go pick up that trash. Freddie's boys, I guarantee it wouldn't surprise any of them. Would say, hey, look, there's some trash out there. When you run out there and pick up that trash, that wouldn't bother them. They think, yeah, that's the stuff they asked us to do. But what about when you're a pastor? Don Sis is a man on staff at Paul Chapel's church now and has been in missions for many, many, many years. And he was the president of, I guess, BIMI, I believe it is. Chattanooga, is that what that was? Big deal, and he was a big deal. All right? He was a big shot, if you will. That building that houses BIMI had leased itself out. They had leased a room out to a ladies' meeting one night. Some ladies were having a ladies' gathering and they were going to use their room. And so the lady who was running that meeting was in there just getting some things ready. Well, Brother Sis had got off work and went and played some golf. So he comes in and he's in casual clothes. And he just come in to check the building before he went home that afternoon. And when he came in, that lady was already there getting some stuff ready. She looks over and she sees this man in kind of casual clothes and assumes that he works there. So this lady starts saying, she said, sir, she said, we're getting ready to have a ladies thing in here. And could you get us some chairs? There's not chairs in here. We need some chairs. My brother says the president of the place. He just said, oh, okay. He goes out and starts getting her chairs and brings it back. When he comes back with a chair, she says, you know what? And if you don't mind, we're going to need a table. I don't know if you know where some tables are, but we need a table or two. And like 3 or 4 times when he'd come in the room, she just started, and every time he'd just go out and get it. Well, other people started showing up. Some other ladies started showing up for a meeting, and he comes back in again, and she barks another order. And one of the other ladies says, what are you doing? She said, don't you know who that is? She said, no, I don't know who it is. He works here, I guess. She said, he's the president. That's the nonsense. And then the woman was all flipped out, you know. Oh, I didn't know. You know why she didn't know? Yes. Because he didn't mind. Amen. See, if I'm not careful now, Brother Eddie, there was a day I wouldn't hesitate. No. Hey, go plunge the toilet. Hey, go do this. Hey, go do that. Or, wouldn't have even entered my mind. Right. But see, if you ain't careful, you become a pastor. Now, here's the flip side of that. The people want to run up to you and say, preacher, let me do that. If they see me gathering up a trash bag, they say, preacher, let me do that. If they see me trying to sweep, preacher, let me do that. Now, there's nothing wrong with them feeling like that. Right. The problem is when I start thinking they better come do that. Amen. The problem is when I ain't really trying, I'm just standing here out in public holding this room, hoping one of y'all come and say, preacher, let me God bless you. I mean, I don't mind to do it, but God bless you. Oh. So it doesn't get like that. You're a liar.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
You know we're flesh.
Sure, man.
And there are times you ask, what do you mean? You almost, do you know who I am?
Right.
Now I would never say that. Of course you'd never say it out loud. It doesn't sound so bad when you say it out loud.
Amen.
But we have them thoughts if we're not careful. I had a preacher, we had a work day behind our school. It's a big bank, and we weeded it. We used to weed it 2 or 3 times a year. Brother Charlie keeps it knocked down pretty good now. But I remember back when I was still pretty active, and I was grooming this guy, I thought, to be the principal of our school. He was a local pastor. It was just so hot, and we had knocked it out in a hurry. It just seemed like it went great. So I come in that next Monday, and he said, man, the bank looks good. I said, you know what? I said, man, we got out here the day, 4 or 5 of us, and we knocked that thing out. It was awesome. It went great. He said, this is the local pastor. He said, you helped them? I said, yeah. And this is what I said. I don't think we're supposed to be doing that. I was like, what? You don't think? I thought, what did I do wrong? I sinned. What did I do? I don't think we were doing it. I said, doing what? He said, I don't think we ought to be doing that kind of the physical labor stuff like that. I don't think, as pastors, we're supposed to be doing that. And I was so confused that he even said that out of his mouth.
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay. I didn't even know what to say. But guess what? It wasn't very long, he wasn't the pastor at his church anymore.
Right.
You say, what happened? I'd say he probably didn't feel like a gift.
Amen.
Amen.
If you used to could weed eat, you still can. So.
Amen.
When I first became a pastor, listen, before that, I was like, I was the donkey. And whatever they needed to do, I always tell people, well, it's this. They find a good donkey, they ride it. That's okay. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I was involved in everything. Right after I became a pastor, I remember we had a work day at the camp. And every other work day we'd ever had, I was there.
Yeah.
So we had a work day and I was there. And then we're over doing some shoveling. And a guy comes and said, hey, preacher, let me have that shovel. Why do you need that shovel? I thought he just needed a shovel.
Yeah.
And then so I get over and get another. The guy, hey, preacher, let me have that. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Finally, I realized what was going on.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, my hands held a shovel 2 weeks ago and it didn't bother you. I can still hold the shovel. Let me help. And you know, now I've been pastor 13 years. If not careful, well, I'm just going to stand over here. I'm going to stand over here very importantly and talk to people while y'all get all that trash picked up. Now, I understand we're not to leave the work of the Lord and wait tables, all right, before y'all get too, some of you get too poked up. But it's the spirit. It's the spirit of whether or not I am willing or whether or not I have decided. By the way, Daddy, let's just bring it on down to the house.
Yes, sir.
God gave you children and don't mean you can't ever do anything.
Amen.
Come on. I'm all for training them, but every now and then we ought to train them by standing right there beside them.
Yeah.
One time General George Patton, the leader of the great tank battalions, they were out in the battle. And he could hear through the radios that the guys were losing hope. And he made a decision. He climbed out of his tank and stood on the front of it with his pistol. Now shooting at other tanks with his pistol. It's not doing anything, right, Brother Greg? I mean, come on. And later they said, General Patton, why did you do that? He said, I could hear on the radio that my men were losing hope and they needed a hero.
Yeah.
And so what does he say? He said they needed to see me out front. Sometimes when we have work day, Brother Eddie, I'm not trying to sound spiritual, because I have to fight all this. I have to consciously make these decisions because I'm flesh like everybody else. But every now and then when we're going to do something, what I'll do sometimes? I'll on purpose pick the bad job. You see why you do that? Because I want some of them new people every now and then to look over and right in the ditch beside them as the preacher.
Yeah.
I've had them say to me, my old preacher never would have done that.
Amen.
You said, well, you're just doing it for a show. No, I'm doing it to encourage.
Yeah.
Let your light so shine before men that they may see what? I don't think you got to do anything for people to see it. Then you don't believe that verse. Now, the key is the end of the verse. They may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Amen. So if you're letting them see your good works so they glorify you, that's where you're going wrong. But every now and then, we as leadership, we need to let them see our good works so that they can glorify the Father. It can be a blessing to them and an example to them. We must stay humble in our attitude. We must stay humble in our action. That's letter B, and I've just been talking about it already. But stay humble in your actions. In your actions. I remember when I first came there, I was willing to do anything. I still should be. After I became the principal, I walked through the halls with the plunger more after I got promoted to principal than I ever did when I was just a teacher.
Yeah.
When I was just a teacher, nobody ever came and said, hey, the toilet's clogged up, will you fix it in the boys' room? But when I was the principal, I was the guy the ladies would come to. And they'd catch me all the time walking down the hall with that plunger. People would look at me, I'd say, it's my royal scepter. That's the plunger. I remember telling young guys, I said, I'm going to tell you something, they didn't teach us this in Bible college. All right, I didn't go to Bible college. They didn't teach me this in college. They didn't tell me I was going to be plunging. This past year at teen camp, Brother Eddie, we got there the first day, septic messed up.
Yeah.
We had to start digging, didn't we, Brother Fred? We had to start digging to try to find the septic tank that was put there like 150 years ago.
Yeah.
It does not have a hatch on it.
Yeah.
It has a 5x5 or 6x6 concrete slab cover.
Right.
So we're digging and digging and digging. It was unbelievable. And you know what? Brother Jason runs teen camp. He don't have time to fool with that. And so I got down there and started helping. Brother Freddie and different ones got in and you said what? We was down there working in, feces.
Yeah.
All day for like 3 days, it seemed like. It was crazy. Had a boy that just recently got off Pensacola Christian College there with me. I noticed one day he's standing knee deep with me in this nastiness. And we're shoving. And I looked over at him and I said, you got a class on this at Bible college? His eyes were ready to go. I said, they probably ain't going to give you one. I said, but this is the ministry, son.
Yes, sir.
It don't matter. We had time. Let's be honest with you, we worked hard. I was sore, but we had a time down there cutting up and working. A bunch of guys from different groups. And you said, what was it? You got to just, every now and then, your actions got to show that you don't mind still getting dirty.
Yes.
No matter what my position is. My kids need to sometimes see me serve them.
Yeah.
God did not just give them to us to be little slaves for us.
Yeah.
So we must stay humble. And then the last of all, we need to stay happy. If you're going to remain a gift. I'm going to tell you something. You ain't never had anybody in your life that got arrogant, that you kept thinking was a gift from God.
Amen.
Just think about it. You don't know anybody that carries himself arrogantly that you think, boy, that's the best thing ever happened to us in our entire life. That humility, you got to keep it. And last of all, stay happy. One of our theme verses is serve the Lord with gladness. And the moment we lose the ability to do what we do for the Lord, or in our homes, or in our business, or whatever, the minute we lose the ability to do it with gladness, we'll cease to be a gift. Now, I don't mean that we go through the battles and the tests and the valleys that cause us to lose some of our shout for periods of time. I understand that. I'm not saying that we have to, be on the top of the mountain every second. That's not going to happen. But the people that we are serving need to know they are not burdening us.
Amen.
We joked this morning in there that people say, I don't want to bother you, but, and I always kind of roll my eyes and think, well, you do, obviously, or you wouldn't have said that. But at the same time, I get grieved when I hear somebody say that and I feel they really mean it, or that it's a bother. I want them to know, look, that's what I'm for.
Amen.
Very glad to spend and be spent for you.
Yes, sir.
And some of them just say that because that's what you're supposed to say, but they ain't even thinking. I don't want to bother you, but they ain't even thought about whether or not they're bothering me. But then there are others who have, they should have already come to me days before, Brother Eddie, and they didn't. And I'm like, why didn't you come? And I said, I just know you're so busy preaching.
Yeah.
I know you got so many people that's always hollering at you. I just didn't want. And boy, when they sincerely say that, it grieves me.
Yeah.
Because I think, no, that's what I am here for.
Amen.
I am here for you to come. And so have you ever been to a hospital where the nurse, it seemed like it bothered her that you were there that day?
Yeah.
It seemed like you bothered her by getting sick. I think, well, first of all, I didn't plan it. Number one. And second of all, it's how you get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, if nobody ever comes in here, man, they're going to fire you.
Yeah.
How am I a burden to you? But have you ever felt like that at a restaurant? You ever felt like that? I mean, the waitress or the waiter, it's like you bothered them by coming in. Now let me ask you this. If you've ever had a servant of any kind like that, did you walk away feeling like, boy, that was a gift of God? Well, no, of course not. Every time you walk away from one of those kind of servants, you're talking bad about it. The tip ain't very good. Come on. As soon as they walk away from the table, you look over at your wife and say, don't give her $1. And then your wife says, well, we're going to give her $1. But you understand what I'm saying? You are not blessed. You know why? Because they've made you, they're not serving with gladness. They made you feel like that your very existence in their life has become a burden on them. I'm afraid sometimes our children feel like that.
Yep.
I'm afraid sometimes the people in our Sunday school class feel like that. The people that we work over in the secular world feel like that. You understand? If you've got a position in the secular world, you've got to have people under you,
Yeah.
or it don't keep going.
That's right.
You got to have customers.
Yes.
They need to feel like, that you appreciate, that you serve them with gladness. And so, first of all, letter A, we do this with our mouth. Particularly us in the ministry, be careful that behind the podium about poor mouth in the ministry.
Amen.
Be careful. Last night when I was giving that testimony about the dentist being a blessing to us, I got grieved. I wouldn't ever want it to get back to our church like I think they don't take care of me. I don't ever want my kids to feel like because we're in the ministry we don't have anything. I want to be careful. And I understand we go through troubles and trials. I understand we go through times of financial tightness. We did for years and still do, to be honest with you, not because they don't pay me good, because I'm stupid. But for years when I was just a Christian school teacher, I started the very first year, I went in and my negotiations were vicious. I was already moved there, for goodness sakes, before we ever even talked about money. He said, well, we need to talk about money. I had a 4-year degree to be a school teacher. He said, well, we need to talk about your pay. I didn't know anything about money. I knew Christian school was made about half. And I knew in the state of Kentucky, if I started public school, I'd make $24,000 in 1995. And so I said, how about $14,000 for the year? I said, how about $14,000? He said, how about 12? I said, sounds great. Now, how about them negotiations right there? Is that good? Do I push a hard bargain or what? Sounds great. I'm going to be honest, you're going to think I'm an idiot. When I walked down there, I thought, 12,000. My mom and daddy had never seen $12,000. I was thinking that was going to be so much money. For the whole year, $12,000, just married. She worked, she babysitted one little kid, made just a little bit of money in a week. We didn't have no money. I remember after about 4 or 5 months of it, I was saying, hey, can we do this? She's like, we don't have money. Right. I'm all mad. What do you mean we don't have the money? Yeah. And I make good money. She's like, honey, we don't hardly make enough money to pay the bills. I said, you're crazy. Let's write it down. I was a math teacher. Let's write it down. Yeah. Oh, I wish I'd never done that. Yeah. We got done writing it down, and it literally did not equal what we needed. And I looked at her and said, well, how have we been doing it? She goes, I said, no, just why that paper up, throw it back. The Lord, you know what happened? The Lord will be taken care of.
Yeah.
And so, I understand about tight times in the ministry, but I also don't ever want to paint the picture that I'm miserable because I'm serving God. And with my mouth, I must be careful. Ecclesiastes 10:12, the words of the wise man's mouth are gracious. The words of a wise man's mouth are gracious. We want to be careful that the people we're serving don't ever get the attitude that they're a burden. And then the letter B, we do this with our mannerisms. Come on, we've all got those high maintenance people in our life. And we got to be careful that when those high maintenance people need to talk to us, that we don't go, preacher, can I talk to you? Come on. Come on. Yeah, I got a few minutes. You know what you just said? You just said, I'll do it, but it's really putting me out. It's really a burden for me to serve. I'm going to tell you something. That person does not leave that meeting and go home and get on their knees and say, God, you gave me a great gift and you made him my preacher. That's not always easy. That lady that caused us such trouble, she had legitimate mental problems, but she just got filled with anger, rage. She would bust up in the middle of services and just say unbelievable things. She stood right down below the thing after a service one day and she was screaming, and she began to scream at me that my wife had had an abortion, which she'd never had. I know your wife had an abortion. She'd just say crazy stuff. Just volatile, maniac. When it first happened, your first thought is, we need to get rid of her. We need to get her out of this place. My staff guys, different people, what we're going to do, preach, we got to get rid of her, we got to get rid of her. And I'll be honest with you, I was like, yeah, we got to get rid of her. And then one day, it's like the Holy Spirit said, don't people like her need a pastor? Amen. And I said, yep. And I believe he's at that other church.
Amen.
And so I had to start saying to the staff guys, we've got to pray different. I said, she needs a pastor. And I'm supposed to be it, so we're going to deal with this. Now the Lord did it about 2 years. People have no idea. They have no idea what it was in me. The strain, the stress, the craziness. There would be services, Brother Eddie, that would start to get on, where me and you normally are going to push that service right over the edge, and we can shout it out, and I'd see her. And I knew that those services where it would get on as many times where she would stand up and start going crazy. And I'd just say, open your Bibles, it's preacher time. Because the preacher time I was in control. I could stop it. For 2 years. It was crazy. You say, why did you just? Because everybody needs a pastor.
Yeah.
Now she did end up having to leave. So it got to one point I had to say, look, you can't come back until you call me and set up a meeting and we meet in private and deal with some things. But the Lord was teaching me stuff all the way through.
Amen.
And I don't ever want the people that God has allowed me to serve to feel like it is a burden when they need me.
Amen.
I want to stay happy in the service of the Lord.
Amen.
If I'm there 40 years, Bobby Robertson's probably getting ready to die. He's pastored that church 40-something years. You know what they're going to file by that casket and say? Repeatedly, they're going to say, one of the best things that ever happened to our family was when we met Bobby Robertson. One of the best things that ever happened, the best gift God ever gave us, was when he became our pastor.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard people testify and they'll say, one of the best things that ever happened was when so-and-so came to our house and knocked on our door and became my bus captain.
Amen.
People will say, one of the best things that ever happened was when so-and-so was my Sunday school teacher. She's the one that led me to Jesus. She's the one that did this. She's the one that did that. Hey, one of the best things that ever happened to me was when God gave you as my mom or God gave you as my dad.
Amen.
And we want to remain a gift to the people that they let us serve. You got to stay human. You can't get puffed up. You got to stay humble, touchable, and teachable. And then we got to stay happy. We got to realize that even with the crazies, what a blessing and an honor it is to serve. One of the first things that Brother Fisher ever taught me, he got me on the phone after Brother Danny thing, it all fell apart. You can come on this way, Brother Danny. And he said, Tony, I'm going to teach you something that y'all not been taught. This has probably been 20 years, maybe a little less than that, maybe a little bit. He said, no matter how long you get to serve those people, they don't owe you nothing. He said, you owe them for having had the privilege to serve.
Amen.
So that means if I serve them for 25 years and then I decide I need to retire or resign and go do something else, that means I do not deserve them to give me a big send-off, give me a truck, give me a house. They don't owe. Well, I serve them up, they don't owe me nothing. Now, the flip side of that is, from their heart, they should be willing to give double honor.
Yeah.
Right? But see, we got to fight that spirit of entitlement.
Yep.
That spirit of entitlement is, I've been here a long time, bless God, they what? They owe you. And here's how you get that spirit of entitlement. You start comparing yourself. Well, they bought Eddie a truck. He'd been there so long, they bought him a truck. When I'm in our church this long, I better get a truck. See, that's that crew, and I'm trying to stop here, but it ain't quite lunchtime yet. That's that crew that came out to work and they were hired for a penny for a day's wage. And you know what? When they first were hired for that day's wage, they were so thrilled with it because they didn't have anything. They were starving. And they got out there and they started working, and then he went back and hired some more a little later in the day, and then he hired some more a little later in the day, and then at the end he hired some for just that last hour. Y'all remember that parable?
Yeah.
Now look, that crew that had worked all day, when they first made that agreement, they were just thrilled to be added to the work list. They just needed to work. I remember that, don't you? I remember when I first started. I remember I don't remember who it was, but I kind of remember the first time somebody gave me a check for preaching. And I was like, what are you doing here today? Yeah, but now, I've had guys forget, and I'm like, I can't believe that. I've had the Holy Spirit before say, you think that message was worth more? No, sir.
Yep.
You say, what happens? You've been around a while and start thinking now you earned it. And that crew that had worked all day, when they first made that agreement, they were like, this is so wonderful, thank you. Our family didn't have anything. We didn't have, that was the people that didn't have a job. They would come along every day and just hire them for a day. So they go out there and stand every day hoping somebody would hire them. So when they first made the agreement, they're just thrilled to be a part. But then all of a sudden they work, and they start looking over in the field, that guy's worked just an hour. So it comes payday, and that owner of the field gives that guy working an hour a whole day's wage. The same agreement he'd made with him. Guess what happened? He started comparing. And the Bible says this, he supposed. So what do you mean? He said he only worked an hour, I worked all day. Now he had already made an agreement. But now he's comparing himself to others, and he starts thinking, well, if he is worth a day's pay, I've been here all day. What am I worth? I'm entitled to more than him. And he got ready to get paid, and he got a day's pay, which was his original agreement. And y'all know the story, he starts fussing. I'm more than the end of the day, he's just been here one day. That owner says, well, wait a minute. Didn't we have an agreement, and isn't it my money, and I can do with it whatever I want? You say, what happens? That spirit of entitlement starts coming when I start comparing myself to others. And I'll look over at so-and-so's church and see what they did for him on his 10th anniversary, and I'll start thinking, bless God, I've been here 10 years, so they better. Oh, they owe you?
Amen.
They owe you now? Brother Bishop said, you better get that out of your heart. Now, on the flip side, they should want to honor. This church, they should want to buy a lady a truck or whatever he needs. Amen. But in our heart, we have to make sure that on our side, we fight that spirit of that you owe me and I deserve it. And we just understand it's a privilege to have gotten it. This, you that are pastors and in the ministry, this is the best life. Amen. Now it gets crazy. Sometimes it's frustrating. Right, Brother Ed? But it's the best life. I owe the people of New Manna for the privilege of getting to live the best life. And so, we get puffed up sometimes for thinking we deserve something. I promise you, when you get there, you're not a gift anymore. Nobody's going home saying, oh, what a good day it was. Amen. Father, I pray you help us to know, first of all, that you have given us to folks in our life to try to be a blessing. And help us to remain a gift, Lord. Help us to never get filled with self. Help us never forget what we really are, just dust. Help us, Lord, to stay humble and know that any good thing that's ever come, it's come from you and through us. You working through us in spite of us. Help us to stay teachable and touchable, and then, Lord, help us to stay happy. Help us to never get to the place that we make people think it's a burden for them to have to ask us for our help. We'll praise you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
That's good stuff, Brother Tony. Let's stand on our feet. I'm not even going to ask Brother Tony to play the piano, but we are going to have a little bit of altar call. Is anything I want to do as a gift? Now listen to me before you pray. I thought about this while he was teaching. No matter how hard you try to be a gift, no matter how much effort you put forward, some will never perceive you as a gift. Everything's your fault. All the wrongs in their life is on your shoulders. And if you're not careful, you'll give those people your attention when those who really think you're a gift are doing without. So I hope I said that right. I hope that come out right. But even though some think you're the devil, some thank God for you every night when they pray. So don't forget them. Amen. All right.
Thank you.